What's up, though, Twitch? You know what it is, boy. It's your boy, Mr. Wig G. I'm coming in, man. We're going to talk about something, you know, that's near and dear to me, baby. It's your boy. Let's talk about it. Let's get right into it, right? Tyrese Gibson, he was arrested after his dogs do the unthinkable down here in Atlanta, baby. I'm going to show y'all this, right? This is like doorbell camera footage from like a quiet, upscale Atlanta street. The only sound is the chirping of crickets, but that silence is about to be broken, right? A massive cane corso enters the frame, then another. They're agitated, sniffing and scratching at a neighbor's front door, totally unrestrained, right? This video captured just minutes before like a tragedy, which would eventually lead to a celebrity's arrest and expose a nightmare that was completely preventable. So have you guys seen the headlines about Tyrese Gibson? If you guys haven't, check this out. Check this out. Let me see. You know, I'm kind of slow, y'all, so don't pay no attention to me there. Whoa, player. Whoa, that was, oh, did y'all see that, baby? Did y'all see that, man? Did y'all see that? That was crazy. So, to show you the entire footage, y'all know how it is in these streets, man. You want to see the entire footage, you know where to find the entire footage, but those are Tyrese cane corsos. They're really huge dogs. If you haven't dealt with cane corsos, it's probably not the best dog to start off with. So, ooh, Tyrese, your dogs have been let go. So what happened? What happened, guys? Oh my goodness. Tyrese, why would you do that? How could you? So Tyrese let his dogs go. First of all, if this is your first time checking in, I want to welcome you guys to the Underground Reaction Daily Show. We're going to be having daily things, right? This is the show that everybody wants to see, but nobody wants to touch. We shine light on the stories that stink and hand out our weekly turd trophy to whoever made the biggest mess online. And this week, we got a big one. Our very first turd goes to Tyrese Gibson for letting your dogs run wild and terrorize the neighborhood like it's the Fast and Furious Paw Patrol edition. But Tyrese, you got this honor. You are officially our first turd of the week. Okay? Stick around. We're getting started. And the internet's full of fresh turds just waiting to be scooped. We might even have 2 turds this week. Yeah. That's where we guys. That's pretty much what we got going on, man. Tyrese, I think for letting your dogs go in the wild. We got something for you. We just wanted to say from the bottom of our heart, we got this. We got this.
Congratulations!
There you go. Oh yeah.
Congratulations!
Congratulations, Tyrese. Tyrese, you're the first turd of the week. Hey, we're gonna have many of them more. So hey, stick with us, man. I've seen a couple of turds, and Tyrese, you definitely deserve to be flushed. You definitely deserve to be flushed for just letting your dogs just run amok amongst the city. You sir, amongst all those good people in Atlanta, and you seem to have forgotten your ways, Mr. Tyrese. So let's give you a reminder here.
He's an award-winning R&B singer and best known in Hollywood for his Fast and Furious movies. Yeah! And this morning, police in Georgia have issued a warrant for his arrest over his large dogs at his Atlanta mansion, who are now accused of killing another dog in his wealthy neighborhood 2 weeks ago.
If anybody shows up, I want you to bite their ankles off.
Police say they asked him to surrender his dogs, and he said no, leading them to search the home for the dogs while he was away. And when they didn't find them, they issued an arrest warrant for the singer and actor, accusing him of animal cruelty.
They have been loose in our neighborhood for 6, 7, 8 months now. They've been off the leash at least 30 times.
Oh, man.
Police say the neighbors have complained that his dogs were often running loose, and on September 18th, they were seen on a neighbor's security camera, accused of killing Harrison Parker's much smaller 5-year-old dog.
The pack of those 4 dogs were there minutes before I found Henry's body. And there was absolutely no cars, no humans, just the dogs. He died alone in the darkness at night, and I wasn't there. Henry was a little King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. I'd raised him from a little puppy, from just a few weeks old. And, he never left my side. I really hope that justice is fully served.
Gibson was out of the country that night, and in a statement says to the family, "Please know that my heart is broken for you. I'm praying for your healing and for your beloved pet who never deserved this." His lawyer tells us that Gibson accepts full responsibility and made the incredibly difficult decision to rehome his 2 adult dogs and their 3 puppies in safe and loving homes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
The question now is, when will Tyrese Gibson come in and handle this arrest warrant? And is rehoming the dogs, as he has said he has done, going to be enough for authorities? Or do they still want possession of these dogs? And if they get possession, are these dogs in any risk of being put down? In a video he posted to social media, he suggested that he is in Los Angeles and is cooperating with authorities. Guys.
A lot of open questions there. Okay, Steve, thanks very much.
Okay, you guys see it right there, man. That's crazy work right there, man. You got to be careful out here with your dogs, man. It's rough out here. You probably seen the headlines, but this footage just shows like moments just before the unthinkable happened, and brings up a tough question for every single person who owns a dog. When does your best friend become your biggest legal liability, right? This entire heartbreaking catastrophe could have been avoided. And today we're going to break down exactly how and what critical lesson every dog owner needs to learn from this. So welcome. The story of what happened at Tyrese Gibson's Atlanta home is a complicated and sad one. It's got a famous actor, a grieving family, and powerful animals caught in the middle. But if you take away the celebrity name, what you're left with is a fundamental breakdown of responsibility. As a legal analyst, I've seen this pattern time and time again. Tragedies like this are rarely a single isolated event. Instead, they're often like the disastrous end to a string of smaller ignored problems. To understand what happened, and more importantly, how to stop it from happening to you, we have to go back to that September night and piece together a disaster that was months in the making, right? On the evening of September 18th, in a wealthy Atlanta neighborhood, they had a resident named Harrison let his small 5-year-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, dog named Henry, as you guys seen, out into his own yard. Just 5 minutes later, Parker went to bring him back inside and discovered an unimaginable horror. Henry had been brutally attacked. According to court documents, he suffered broken ribs, severe internal bleeding, and multiple puncture wounds. Devastating injuries for a small family pet. Though he was rushed to a veterinary hospital, he did not survive. Okay. So it wasn't a mystery. Everybody knew who it was because the dogs have been running wild. They weren't strays. They belonged to his famous neighbor, the star of the Fast and Furious franchise. In this chaotic aftermath, right, A different neighbor called 911, as you heard in the video, unable to even get to her car because his dogs were roaming free and blocking her path. It's just a chilling snapshot of the fear that had taken over the entire neighborhood. This single tragic event kicked off a police investigation, an arrest warrant, and a media firestorm. But as investigators soon discovered, this was not ordinary. This was not like out of the ordinary. It was the predictable end of a problem, of a pattern that had been simmering for a long time, right? But in the eyes of the law, a key concept, foreseeability, right? In other words, was the owner aware, or should they have been aware of a potential danger? In this case, the evidence is pretty overwhelming. According to Fulton County Police, his dogs have been reported running loose at least 5 times in the months leading up to the attack. Warnings have been issued, and animal control had even tried to cite him for violations, but he reportedly wasn't home when they visited. He was out there making that big money. But one neighbor perfectly summed up the community's fear and frustration, stating, his negligence, on the part as a homeowner and an animal owner, just letting them roam free. I have to agree. And now they killed an innocent animal. Some people said they're afraid to go out of their house. They're 150-pound dogs with a bite of a lion. So this pattern is a foundation of legal cases against him, right? That doorbell footage from another home wasn't just a random piece of evidence, right? It was confirmation of an ongoing failure to control his animals, right? The Fulton County ordinance is crystal clear. I live very, very close to Fulton County, so I understand, right? It's unlawful for a dog owner to allow their dog to leave their property unless it's securely on a leash and under control, all right? Every single time those dogs were reported loose, it was a violation of that ordinance and a warning sign that tragically ignored, okay? Man, you get involved in this stuff, man, it's going to be a legal fallout. So don't try not to get yourself involved in that. You got to get training for your dog. You need to have proper care for your dog. Your dog shouldn't be able to roam the neighborhood. But following the incident, the Fulton County Police Department issued an arrest warrant for Tyrese Gibson on 1 count of misdemeanor, okay, animal cruelty. There was some back and forth with police initially saying he failed to turn himself in as requested, though his attorney stepped in and said that he was cooperating. He eventually surrendered, was booked, and released on a $20,000 bond. Okay, so let's break down the law, because a lot of people wonder how you can be arrested for something your animal does. In Georgia, like many states, it all comes down to owner responsibility. Under Georgia statute 51-2-7, an owner can be held liable if the dog causes injury because of the careless management, right? Careless management be from just letting the animal roam free. The fact that, there were repeated documented incidents of the dogs running loose is the critical factor here, right? This isn't a dog getting a 1 free bite when an owner knows or should have known about the dog's tendency to get out or act aggressively. Their legal liability skyrockets. The multiple warnings from animal services created a clear record, right, that he was aware of the problem. So his attorney stated that the actor was cooperating and expressed deep condolences to the family who lost their pet. His legal team also pointed out that Gibson was out of town when the attack occurred. Legally speaking, however, being away from the home doesn't get an owner off the hook for making sure the animals are safely contained. You got to make sure your vehicles, your animals, your animals and your vehicles are contained. You wouldn't leave any of your expensive cars just, open with the front door. So don't leave your animals just roaming the neighborhood when you're out of town and think that that's okay, right? It's not fair. So this is where we need to look past the legal drama and get to the real heart of the issue. In a statement, the attorney explained the dogs were for security because of issues with stalkers and that they were never trained to be vicious and never harmed anyone before. He himself posted that he was shocked, devastated, and heartbroken. and there's no reason to doubt that he was upset. But loving your dog and having good intentions are no substitute for responsible ownership, right? The core problem here likely wasn't malice, it was a profound failure of leadership. A cane corso isn't a golden retriever, it's a powerful, intelligent, and protective breed that needs a massive amount of structure, socialization, and clear guidance from its owner. Owning a dog like this, it just isn't about giving it food in the backyard. It's a serious commitment to understanding the animal psychology and managing its environment with total diligence. The fact that these dogs kept getting out points to a major flaw in their containment, but it goes deeper. A well-trained dog, even one that finds a hole in the fence, should have a reliable recall command. It should understand and respect boundaries. This tragedy wasn't just about a broken latch on the gate, it was about a broken line of communication between the owner and his animals. The dogs weren't evil, they were powerful animals operating with the consistent guidelines they were required, right? Which ultimately put them and the entire community in serious danger. All right. Here's the thing, the whole nightmare was completely avoidable. The solution isn't about blaming a particular breed, it's about empowering owners with the right tools, right? This is where professional dog training isn't a luxury, but an absolute necessity, especially for owners of powerful breeds. You're really putting yourself in a dangerous situation by having these dogs without having proper ongoing training for your pups. For example, many professional trainers build their entire philosophy around strengthening the bond between the dog and its owner through real world obedience training. They teach owners how to communicate effectively, establish leadership, and build a dog's confidence so it looks to its human for guidance instead of making its own calls, especially in stressful situations. So these kinds of programs address the exact failures that led to this tragedy: basic obedience, behavior modification, and most importantly, aggression management. It's about giving a dog the gift of communication. When a dog truly understands what you expect from it, it's less likely to be anxious, fearful, or reactive. It can be trusted in a safe area, recalled away from a distraction, and can live safely within a community. Investing in this type of education is one of the best things an owner can do. It keeps the dog safe, it keeps the community safe, and it prevents the kind of heartbreaking loss that Henry's family and even Tyrese Gibson are now dealing with. That's a hard thing to swallow, okay? But in the end, there were no winners here. A family is grieving the violent death of their beloved pet. Tyrese Gibson faced a public arrest, a criminal charge, and ultimately made the incredible difficult decision to rehome all of his dogs, including puppies, saying the liability was just too great. The dogs who he described as part of his family lost their home. This case is a stark and painful lesson for every single person who owns a dog or is thinking about getting one. Your responsibility doesn't end with posting cute pictures online. It begins with education, management, and training. The law holds you accountable for what your animal does. And accountability, okay? Accountability and foreseeability is everything. If there's a problem, if your dog escapes, acts aggressively, or ignores your commands, you're officially on notice. It's your chance. The lesson from this tragedy is that love simply isn't enough. Responsibility is an active daily commitment to providing the structure, training, and secure environment your animal needs to be a good citizen. It's the single most important thing you can do to protect your dog, your family, your community from the unthinkable. So I know my thing goes out, but It's the single most important thing you can do, right? I'm really curious to hear from you guys. Like, what is the most important lesson you learned about responsible dog ownership? Maybe from your experience. Share your story in the comments. It could seriously help someone else avoid a situation like this. And if you appreciate breakdowns that go beyond the headlines to find the real story, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. And this goes out to all my new people that's joining us today. We just got one thing to say. We just I'm a little slow, y'all. So,
Oh my God. Congratulations. Oh my God.
Congratulations, man. You made it to the end of the show. Congratulations. Check us out. We appreciate you. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you, Tyrese, for hold on, guys. See, that's why we're recording this, guys. We're doing live recordings, but we want to thank Tyrese for being the turd of the week for the Underground Reality Daily Show. Thank you again, guys, and y'all have a good week, man. We're gonna come back with a couple more bangers today. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.